Christensen. I'm currently a finance major at UNCG, and I just added music for music performance as a second major, and this is my first semester starting this year. So. And I'll be playing Rachmaninoff's Etude, Opus 39, number 1 in C minor.
So how long have you been playing this piece?
So I've looked at it in the past, but like actually like learning it 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow, okay, so it's really fresh. It doesn't sound like 2 weeks, so well done.
Thank you.
In terms of phrase length at the start, because I think like there's so much going on in this piece, and it's kind of sometimes just hard, I think, for an audience on a first time listen to know what are we actually supposed to be listening for, and where is the melodic content, because we've got all these flurry of notes, and obviously this bass support, but what is the, if you were to kind of briefly summarize the kind of phrase length at the beginning, like what would, for you, what would you say?
Well, the beginning's very interesting because it's C minor keys, but it starts in like an F minor section, and I think the bass line kind of carries with these tritones.
Yeah. And then yes, we've got 2 1-bar phrases, and then the next phrase, for me, 3 bars. So let's really get a sense of, I think you did this really well, the ba 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 ba, and well done on the tritone, very good. Ba 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 ba. But then here, da 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 ba 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 beep ba 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 ba. Maybe we just have a longer line here, and I know it's really hard when there's so many notes, and he's really cruel because he writes all these notes and then he writes piano a lot of the time, which is so hard to achieve. And you do a really good job, but maybe if you can, at times where you can come back off a bit of the pedal, maybe just allow yourself to clear more, or just have a bit more space when you have a little crescendo, just so we get that we are coming right back down to piano here. We have a flurry up again. It's very quick, isn't it? Like in the space of like 3 beats, he wants you to go from piano to forte back to piano again. So it's really, really hard, and he obviously was quite tortured when he wrote this piece in many ways. But can we try from the start again?
Yeah.
And maybe at the beginning, actually, funny enough, maybe the semiquavers don't need to be overly like overly articulated, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it's okay to have them as this kind of like flurry whirlwind of it's just like an effect. I think later on, where they're more brilliant, it's great to have the finger work. But at the beginning, I think it's more just creating this mirage of sounds and illusion, rather than every single note having to be very, very present in the right hand. Does that make sense? And then our ear immediately will pick up what's happening in the left hand, and we kind of settle into the piece, and we know, okay, this is what we're listening for. Otherwise, it's just sort of like an assault on the senses from the beginning. You know, there's so much going on, and it makes your job a bit easier, hopefully, as well, because you can just allow your hand to sort of gradually work its way. And I know this is a very loud piano; it's a bright instrument, so try and adapt to that as well. Because every time you're going to play this piece, the next time you play it might be on a really heavy church piano, in which case it's a whole different ball game. But when you have a brilliant light action like this, sort of, you know, add it to your arsenal of tools. You know. Do you want to try from the very start again?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more of a kind of winter wind left, right hand, and this sense of very, very present.
Specific stopping point, or just?
No, just let's go even again to the end of this first like 1, 2, 3 bar phrase, and really see if you can bring us up with like that. We really get a sense of this is our kind of mini climax within just the first little section. In that top octave, like by all means lean on it, but don't, again, not the punching sort of effect. Yeah, great. You know, because there's so much going on harmonically, that it's nice if you just sort of present it to us as clear as that. Is great. Then we really have no difficulty understanding where you're going with it. The next phrase, can we go on from there? And really, again, this I think is a point where a bit more of the finger work can be present, where he really wants it forte and clarity in the treble.
All right.
Just a little moment to gather yourself before you start this phrase. I don't think you have to feel under pressure to make it there. Do you feel a bit like that? Or
a little bit.
Like give yourself a chance to breathe there and really have a strong beginning there. Can we try? Is it okay to go back to maybe here?
Yeah.
The accent at the start, so they're not all even. It's more of a sense of yada da 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 yada da 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 da, not da 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 da, because this is really tiring in the wrist, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's amazing if it's like that from the first one, we just lose. We get tight and we get stiff, and the suppleness is gone. Try and just have it as a So we just need the first one every time and then really back off with the tremolo. Can we try from here?
Yeah.
And again, give yourself space in the beep, ba, 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 da, da. And it'll save you a lot of time and energy in your hands. You know, you'll conserve a lot of energy. Here, I know he writes the accents on the strong sense of the beat, but don't lose the chromatic offbeat. We feel this C, C flat, B flat, A. Really, really great. Can we go? Do you want to do this one more time?
Yeah.
Like a pianissimo withdrawal, and then you come back into a kind of more of a flurry with the piano. This was great though, I really liked what you did here. And the left hand's tricky here, no, it's very hard. But again, maybe even some of that left hand coming out of the texture a bit more. Again, so we've had, you know, this very brilliant right hand, and maybe the second time then it's nice to have a bit more of a sense of these left hand hemi-demis. Can we try one more time from here?
Yeah.
Then you don't need to have a start again. I think what the effect he's going for there is we work back so tinily and then it just sort of creeps out of the texture again, instead of us having like an obvious stop and now we're in section B. That was really, really great. I like that a lot. And then here again, just space. I think you played it really, really beautifully, but I think you could just have a greater sense of enjoyment and like you know, when you're very comfortable in a piece of music, you know, show off, enjoy the fact that you're comfortable in it. You know, you don't need to apologize for that. It's great. Can we try going into this? Maybe back from here again.
Yeah.
This being more of an effect, but I think the last maybe group of 6, if we can have real clarity in that last grouping of 6, then we feel okay. Yes, we can have a bit of space here. Don't allow that group to become a bit vague. Is it hard to go from here again?
I can go from there. Yeah.
That it's very, very, very present in the last group of 6. It makes us feel then that everything that's gone before has been equally articulated, if you know what I mean. But if the last grouping isn't actually very clear, then we start to think, oh, hang on, what was that? It's amazing the effect that can kind of have. Yeah, go on. Do you want to go from?
Yeah.
In these groupings, I think the sharpness here is great. Yum bum bum bum, but then maybe more legato. Yum bum bum bum. Maybe that could be just bit more legato.
All right.
Can we try from there again?
Yeah.
But I really like the attack. It's great. Maybe again it's worth just having a little touch of pedal in the section where you want that to be a bit more legato there. It'll just, again, it'll give us a much more sense of a juxtapositioning of the very sharp attack and then this kind of wave again. Yup, bum, 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 ooh. Yup, bum, 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 ooh. Despite whatever else happens, make sure that these last group of 4 are, again, it's the same thing as what I said here about the last group of 6 being really clear. Again, it'll create the illusion for us of a brilliant sense of articulation if that last grouping doesn't get swallowed up. If it's always da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum at the end, then you can kind of get away with being a bit more airy in the other flying finger work, but if that last group doesn't rush and is da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, very Russian. Can we try again from there?
Yeah.
Can we have more of a sense at the top? I know he puts the accent funny enough on the inner voice and you're doing that really well, but again I think we want to have this upper chromatic voice as well. Can we just play that slowly actually? Yeah, so that is intentionally a bit displaced. You're right, so the accent comes with the left hand quaver. But make sure that we get, it'll also stop you rushing actually if you focus on the last semiquaver every time. If you focus, I think, always on, let's say here, where you have the second last semiquaver together every time, there's a tendency to rush then after that. So if you actually force yourself to focus on the last one, it'll just keep you from pushing the tempo forward all the time. Because I think it's really interesting in Rachmaninoff's music that sometimes the busier it gets, actually the challenge isn't getting faster, it's trying to actually expand it. Whereas our instinct always is to, there's more notes, we all rush, and that's the human nature. 5 minutes or we're done. Okay, great. And I think, again, here it's an example of that. So even though the music is kind of pushing forward, it's sort of the impetus as well is really strong if you kind of pull the reins on the horse back a little bit. Can we go from, you pick a spot, maybe this last section, is that okay?
Yeah, I could do that.
pianissimo and then almost like a subito forte. So if you can really keep this really under wraps and then, really come out big, I think is more what he probably means. Right? I know it's like a tiny hairpin here, but I don't think he actually wants you to do this big crescendo. I think he wants it to be this subito forte moment. Can we try one more time from here? That was really good. That was much better. Maybe use the last group of 6 maybe to get into the chord. But keep maybe these 3 really under wraps. Can we try that?
Yeah.
That was great. Really cool effect. Yeah. And we feel it. We feel the energy. You really like the piano becomes this incredibly. I don't know, it's hard to put words on it, but when you just get the right effect and we're all really taken by it, I think that was great. Keep more of that going. What a loss to music that you're doing finance. Like, come back to the music side of stuff. Although actually you'll ironically be, I joke with this with my friends, like all my friends that actually went into finance, they're the ones who actually own these instruments. Very often musicians don't, so we all need friends like you to then be able to go to your house and practice on the instruments. So, yes. This is all pretty good, same. Yeah, should we just pick up from here actually?
Yeah.
Again, for us as an audience member, you've played this piece loads, so you know, but for us it's really nice to really hear the difference here rhythmically. Like all this is pretty much the same, but the yap-bam is new, right? That's the new element. So if we can really really spoon feed it to us, that everything's pretty much the same except for yap-bam, yap-bam. Section builds up again, maybe pulling the tempo back in order that you can then really release again. I think if you keep it all pretty much in the same tempo, we just don't kind of get that new feeling of build up and energy again. Whereas if you intentionally kind of be brave enough to pull the tempo right back there, and then sort of like that elastic band effect.
So would you use like maybe like this section to like slow it down and then at the start of the crescendo?
I think so. I mean, instinctively, I don't play this piece, but instinctively that's what it says to me, but then allow yourself to really go into the forte section. Yeah, sometimes doing the counter opposite actually has the better effect. It's kind of like when sometimes when they say crescendo, you're better off thinking initially diminuendo so that the crescendo can be more. And same with like an accelerando, instead of immediately thinking I need to get faster, if anything, start slower, and then the effect of getting faster is even greater. So sort of start with the opposite intention to achieve the goal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You pick a spot somewhere here that's good for you. Maybe here.
I could start here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even the grouping this time is different. You know, the fact that we're now in groups of 3 all the time in the left hand, again, it's just another subtle difference that don't sort of let the audience take that for granted. Really show us that.
So I've kind of, I guess, grouped them into where the bass line is going down.
Yeah.
But I do know it definitely it needs a bit of work.
Like, I think if you can do a mixture of, don't always practice it the same way. Don't always practice it with the intention of the accelerando. Like, I'd spend a lot of time actually doing the opposite. Play it getting slower and playing the chords really comfortably and very full. So that you start to build that sense of very secure memory into your hand, and then with time, it's kind of like that famous moment in the 4th Chopin ballade where you have the same effect where the chords are getting faster and faster and faster. I think if you only ever practice it getting faster, you just run the risk of sort of practicing panic, if you know what I mean. Whereas if you really take, like, can you just play it once really slowly and almost like overindulge every chord? Yum, bum, bum. Don't get faster. Don't get faster. You were getting faster though.
Yeah.
Still, like, try and not get faster. Like, it's a real challenge. Try and have every chord yum, bum, bum, bum. It's really hard to do. And full chords though, every note. Yeah, and then the next thing to practice though, when you do that though, is you obviously won't have time when it's fast to have an individual movement. Like you said, so you need to have them in groupings, but when you practice it slow, still practice the movement of a group. So whether it's in a group of 3 or a group of 4, you're not new movement, new movement, new movement, because that's not going to help you then when you get faster. If you're, let's say, playing the first 3, ya, ba, bum, but practice ya, ba, bum. So the movement is still one motion, not dun, dun, dun. Do you know what I mean? Because you won't have time when it's really fast to do that. And it's so hard to achieve, but if you watch like the really great Russian pianists, like watch Sokolov, watch Lugansky, that's what they've mastered, is that sense of like, you see, or have you ever come across Pavel Nersessian? He's a genius, and I've seen him in Masterclass, and he plays stuff like unbelievably slowly, but the control is just, it's so incredible. But he's mastered that sense of, it's not just slow for the sake of slow, it's the exact same amount of movement, but at a super slow pace. So he's been really economical with the movement, but he knows exactly how to play it in the same way. It's not, I think a lot of us play slowly, but we're playing in a completely different way. So then when we get faster, practicing slowly hasn't helped us. And I think if you watch a lot of how they play the piano, you'll learn a lot from it. But if you can force yourself to do things like that really, really, really slowly, but with the same movement, like almost analyze it when you play it fast. Analyze, okay, how many number of movements am I making there, and I'm taking that number of chords and that number of motion, and can I imitate the same movement but in a super slow pace? And then I think you'll really play it even better than you already are. So well done, it's great. Yeah.